I'll start introducing myself. I'm Federico Drago from Trust IT Services, and I am part of the Blue Cloud 2026 project. I am the outreach manager of the project, and I welcome you to this second webinar of the Blue Cloud Training Academy. Today, we are also celebrating World Ocean Day, and that's why we decided to have this webinar on this date. As you know, World Ocean Day is an important recurrence for the United Nations, for all the organizations related to ocean research, ocean conservation, and pretty much everybody in the sustainability environment. Today's theme is the tides are changing, and we hope that also thanks to the solutions developed in Blue Cloud, we will be able to contribute to this change. Let's go with the next slide. The Blue Cloud Training Academy is a new item in this Horizon Europe project. It features a series of online courses on how to make best use of the Blue Cloud services, and also on how to use and share fair data from marine research infrastructures. Today, we're going to focus on the thematic virtual labs that are developed within Blue Cloud 2026. And you can find more information about it on the Blue Cloud website. The first episode of this webinar series was held in March. It was on the 17th of March, and it focused on the Blue Cloud virtual research environment, which is an environment that facilitates researchers in the exploitation and use of computational services, analytical services, and to support the uptake of open science practices in the marine research environment. You can find the direct link here. You will find all the slides in the event page after the webinar as well. Today, we are going to focus on the virtual labs themselves, on the thematic virtual labs that are included in the Blue Cloud virtual research environment. And we will especially focus on two of them. One will be, let's say, an expansion on one of the virtual labs that was already included in the Horizon 2020 project, Blue Cloud. And another one is a completely new development specifically for Blue Cloud 2026. After me, there will be my partner, Patricia Cabrera from VLabs, who's going to give an introduction about Blue Cloud in general and the virtual labs. Stephen Pint from VLabs, who's going to talk about the Plankton Carbon Dynamics virtual lab. And then Joao Vitorino from the Istituto Idrografico is going to talk about the integration of coastal ocean observations along Europe virtual lab. Then we'll also have space for some questions and answers from you. And then just to provide you an overview of who registered for this webinar. So we had about 90 people registering from all over the world. That's very interesting, representing a wide variety of organization types as well. So including e-infrastructures, the blue data infrastructures, and research infrastructures in general. As you can see, outside of Europe, we had quite a few people registering also from South America, Africa, and Asia. So welcome everybody. And I'll give the floor to Patricia so that she can go on with her presentation.
Yes, thank you very much, Federico. My name is Patricia Martin Cabrera. I work for the Flanders Marine Institute. I am a marine biologist and doing the data management for marine data. It's not changing, right?
No.
Now, okay, perfect.
Yes.
First, I wanted to give an introduction about the Blue Cloud 2026 project. But for this, I wanted to bring this picture just to highlight that there is, in the last decade, an increase of technologies to capture observations from the ocean. So the way we are collecting data, it's really increasing a lot. So we're taking data much more faster and at higher resolutions in space and time, sometimes even near real-time data. So the way we are advancing with this data, we need to keep up as well with the data management and how we're dealing and using this data. So for these data centers, national data centers and international data repositories need to keep up with this. And there is a lot of new data types as well. And they all are found in the different data repositories. That can be sometimes very difficult to know how to access this data, or it can be very sparse around in the web. So for instance, here, this is the marine data landscape and the blue data infrastructures that in the previous Blue Cloud project were already gathered all together and federated in Blue Cloud, and new ones are coming. So here on the left, in the image on the right, all these data infrastructures on the left deal more with biological data. So we have ecotaxa for classifying images from plankton. Among biology and aerobis are also blue data infrastructures dealing with occurrences and abundances of species, as well genomic data, DNA data, then platforms, observing platforms like ENSO, ERIC, or JERICO, Copernicus for environmental physical data, EuroArgo for floats, CDataNet, gathering different types of data, or SOCAT and ICOS for carbon data. So all these together form the blue data infrastructures that are managed in Blue Cloud and that are used for the VLabs we are presenting today in most of them. So Blue Cloud, it federates an European ecosystem to deliver fair and open data analytical services instrumental for deepening research of oceans, European seas, coastal and inland waters. So it has different services dealing with giving single access to all this data, like the blue data infrastructures I just showed. So it gives discovery and access to multidisciplinary data sets. As well, it provides a virtual research environment where we can do an easier integration of these data sources to do heavy computational analysis, to apply big data and machine learning methods, to integrate these methods using other analytical services, and to access to these methodologies that are being implemented by the different researchers, in this case within the VLabs, and it also helps to boost a collaborative environment for researchers. So here is you can find all these services in the website, in the Blue Cloud website, where you can browse using the data discovery and access service to find data sets. There is different ways, two different levels to find data sets. So I encourage anyone to test it and use it. You can also request access to the different VLabs that were developed in the previous project. And there soon, in the coming year, there will be the new VLabs that they are now being developed, will be implemented soon, and you will be able to access to them. And as well, you can access to the Blue Data Catalog, where all the data and data products have been published or will be published. So this is the Discovery Data and Access Service, where all this data from all these data repositories you see in the image can be found. And you can do a free search, or you can do some more specific search with date or geographical search. Then we have the virtual research environment. So this is an example of one of the VLabs that will be presented today, where for now it has implemented the Jupyter Hub, where one can run analysis easily without having a very high knowledge of coding. There is also access to the analytical services to implement algorithms. There is also access to the Blue Data Catalog and many others. And We have as well the Blue Data Catalog. So here you can find the different data sources. So there is input data sets that are normally coming from the Blue Data infrastructures or other sources, but as well you can access to the methodologies through the scripts. Sometimes it can be an R Markdown file or a Jupyter notebook. And this can be run in your workspace, and you can create outputs and apply with other different types of data, as this we do in our work when we do hackathons. Just going a bit more in detail about what are the virtual labs that will showcase the potential of the Blue Cloud and promote the blue economy. So we have 5 VLabs that are touching different thematic services. So the first one will be presented today, so I won't go much in detail. It's called the Coastal Ocean Observations along Europe. Then we have the VLab 2, Coastal Currents from Observations. In this VLab, we're using different data types for currents, and it provides a methodology to be able to process all this data together and come up with data products for current observations, and as well to apply this to a model for an oil spill. So it will be presented in the future in another webinar. Then we have the VLab in Carbon-Plankton Dynamics that will be presented by Steven later today. And the 2 VLabs were the VLab Marine Environmental Indicators, which was already developed in the previous project. And now it will provide new indicators and algorithms to assess the health of the ecosystem. And the last one is the Global Fishery Atlas, that it's merging 2 of the previous VLabs that deal with tuna atlas and aquaculture data, which is sometimes very difficult to access. And thanks to the VLab here, will be available for users. So now I think I can leave space for the VLab 1, Coastal Ocean Observations along Europe, for Joao. You can please, share your screen.
Okay, but this is so. I will. You need to stop the sharing.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. And okay, so putting presentation mode. Can you see my presentation? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm João Vitorino from the Institute of Geographic, and I will present one of the new VLabs that was proposed in this new project, Blue Cloud 2026. And this VLab is aimed to unlocking the potential for integration of coastal ocean observations along Europe. This is a virtual lab that we are developing with a team from Instituto Geográfico in Portugal, from SOCIB in Spain, and from EEE France. The main idea behind this virtual lab is the fact that we all know that for advancing in the understanding of the marine environment such like the one that I'm presenting here, the area offshore the Iberian countries, Portugal and Spain, so from Western Mediterranean to the Atlantic, the Eastern Atlantic. So to advance in the understanding of these kinds of environment, we need to combine and to bring together many different observations and to relate them and integrate them and build a number of products and a number of analyses that result from this integrative process. And this is particularly important in coastal ocean areas. I've put here roughly the coastal ocean area for the Iberian margin. And so this area between the coasts and the transition to deep ocean, roughly covering the continental shelf and the upper continental slopes. And here you have processes that develop in a very broad range of timescales and of spatial scales. And all this brings in important challenges in the interaction and the integration of the different observations that we are collecting. So in this virtual lab, we wanted to explore the full potential of a network, an infrastructure, an observation infrastructure that is being built with the contribution of several European nations. So this is the JERICO area. So the JERICO is the joint European research infrastructure for coastal observatories. And we, in JERICO area, we are gathering 17 European nations, roughly about 40 partners. We are bringing together more than 500 platforms. And we are covering about 13 regional areas. And this, the JERICO area can provide us the combination of systems that are measuring, that are observing in the coastal ocean, either offshore as well as along the coast. And so we want to use this virtual lab to profit from this integrative aspect of these many different platforms and combine it with other platforms and with other information that is relevant to advancing the understanding of the coastal ocean processes. An example why this integration is so important. So I putting here, for example, the HF radar capacities that JERICO area and partners of JERICO area are putting available for the Iberian Atlantic coast, so along the coasts of Portugal and Spain. And you see also in the image the SST maps provided from Copernicus. And so this allows us to have a detailed view only by putting together the two pieces of information to have a detailed view of the dynamics and of the temperature field. And so only by visualizing these two fields, we can get already a perception of a number of processes that are taking place in these areas, and we can extend this. Also, JERICO area is providing data from gliders and gliders that are moving in the area offshore the coastal ocean environment. And so the gliders can provide us a view of the water column properties, and from these we can build a perspective of the deep ocean influence impacts on the coastal ocean environment. So we know that the deep ocean dynamics can promote the development of a number of coastal ocean currents and circulations and flows, particularly in the continental slope. And so we can combine the systems that are observing the continental shelf slope areas with the systems that are observing the deep ocean nearby, and so to have a better understanding of how the deep ocean is forcing the coastal ocean dynamics. So this virtual lab is built with three thematic services. Thematic service one that is dedicated to transboundary processes and connectivity along the European margin. So we want to explore exactly these aspects related to the fact that the currents along the dynamics along the coastal ocean environment, the coastal ocean areas, can promote the transport by a very long distance of a number of influences, a number of impacts of, for example, biological species, of, for example, contaminants, of water properties. And so to build this understanding of how this process of transport and connectivity developed, we need to put together a number of different systems operated in different regional areas, in different nations, and bring all this together, combining with the remote sensing and combining with other processes. So this is the main focus on this thematic service. This thematic service 2 is dedicated to extreme events. So we want to also, from the integration of the different systems operating in different areas, to have a much better perception about the impacts of the extreme events, like extreme storms, the extreme storms that affect these areas. As I mentioned before, you probably understood that in these virtual labs, we are focusing this particular geographic area of the Iberian margin, so from the Western Mediterranean to the Eastern Atlantic areas. offshore the coasts of Portugal and Spain. And so here we can combine the different observations along these margins to evaluate how a given extreme event can have different impacts along this bigger area. And the thematic service 3 is dedicated to ocean gliders, where we want to explore the add value chain of the repeated sections of gliders, exploring from the data acquisition to the processing and the developing of advanced products and visualizations that will improve the coastal observations that we can gather by the ocean gliders data. In all these aspects, we are focusing on add-value products that consist of advanced data and information products and interactive state-of-the-art visualization, and so providing fair tools and services that will take advantage of the JERICO array environment, in this case, the JERICO Coastal Ocean Resource Environment, which is the infrastructure that is being developed in JERICO array. So we call it the JERICO or G core, as well as taking advantage of the ocean best practices and ocean standards that are available, that are provided. I mentioned that the interaction with the JERICO core, and so with the full interaction between the JERICO array and the Blue Cloud is being also developed in another work package of the Blue Cloud 2026, so the work package 5. So for this for general overview of the thematic service that we have developed, we are starting from the discoverability of the data that is related to systems operated by JERICO array, with other sources of observations or complementary data that are available through the discoverability capacities of the Blue Cloud in a number of data aggregators, other data aggregators. And then we are providing the interactions with a given level of processing of the data that we are being interested in use, of a specific processing if necessary. The user will be asked to identify what are the analyses, what are the data sets that are of interest for the work. We are developing a number of specific tools for the different levels of analysis, for the data exploration, for data integration, for data visualization. And then we can provide, of course, there are these tools can be developed at a general level, crossing all the thematic surface, and at a specific level for some of the specific aspects of one given thematic surface. And we are providing users with products that are already pre-selected and that are standard, let's say, and other products that can be used depending on the user's choice. The thematic service 1 and 2 will put together the data that is collected by a large variety of systems that you see here, from HF radars, multiparametric buoys, wave buoys, coastal tide gauges, and gliders, and combine it with observations from remote sensing, for results from models, and other information that are provided by different aggregators, from Copernicus, ModNet, CDataNet, and so on. And for here we have, for these two thematic services, we are following the same workflow that I defined before, but also with the definition of specific demonstration cases that rely on specific products, and opening the interaction with other user-dependent choices for the exploration of this thematic service. Thematic service trees will profit from repeated glider sections from the Balearics to the Spanish continental coast, and will take advantage of these repeated sections to build advanced products that explore and the glider data that will be used to characterize and identify the water column characteristics, water masses analysis, and so on. And in this case, we are really taking in consideration the full value chain of the glider data, from the raw data to the processing and accommodation to the standards, and then the processing to and the definition and generation of the data products. I will go rapidly here. So basically, we have this analytical component with data processing, with a level of exploration of the data of individual data sets, with a level of integration of the different data sets and the exploring integration of different parameters and advances. In this case, we have a level of visualization and normal visualization, but also advanced visualization, and allowing for the possibility to users to also define and introduce some of the aspects of the visualizations. And then we have the products that are can be pre-built or user dependent. This is to give the idea. This is a very ambitious virtual lab with several number of data sets, so a number of parameters, from in situ observations, from remote sensing observations, from models, and also related to the bathymetric conditions of the area. To give you an idea, first focusing specifically the thematic service one, so the one from transboundary process transport and connectivity. The work that is being developed is focusing a number of parameters that I put here: surface current, subsurface currents, surface temperature, subsurface temperature, salinity, and also sea surface height and wind stress. These are the basic parameters that we are dealing in this phase of the implementation of this thematic service. For the very first developments, we are concentrating on surface currents that are provided by HF radars and by models. So in this case, the NEMO model that is provided by MEMS. We are working on the environment so that the user, when the access, he can interact with the system and can indicate what is the selected area of interest, for example, this one, and what are the selected time period of the interest for the use of the data, for the use of the analysis tool. And then we can provide him a number of information regarding what are the parameters and what is the data sets that are available for that selected area in that selected time period. And then we can advance to the indication, so the user can select what are the analysis tools that he wants to explore. So we can indicate what are the parameters that he wants to work with, the data sets that you see they are available for that period he shows. So what are the data sets that he wants to use, and then he can select the analysis tool. So we see, for example, I select the HF radar from Trader, one of the systems that we displayed, the NEMO model, and then we wanted to use the tools for exploration of individual data sets. So we are working in these components. So the access component, then that includes the selection of the data, the parameters of the data, the information regarding what is available, and then the selection from users, what are the ones that he wants to work, and the download of all these data sets to the workspace. A pre-processing level that we need to introduce in case the data is not in the format that is correct, or it needs some pre-processing before being used, and then a selection of the tools can be used. We are now working with the exploration of individual parameters / data sets, and here we can then ask the user to select what kind of tools for exploration, for example, basic statistics or analysis of variability or others. And then from this, the user can build the products that he wants, and already a level of visualization is provided. So this is very rapidly to give you this brief overview of this virtual lab that is now being developed, and will until this next year and a half, will provide already for thematic service 1 and thematic service 3 already a product that will be then used to be fully tested and then to be open. Thank you very much. Stop share.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Johnny. I will try to share my PowerPoint.
Stephen, can you? Okay.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Presentation. So, okay, I'm Steven. I'm working at Flanders Marine Institute in Belgium. I will present the VLab 3, the Carbon-Plankton Dynamics. It's a collaboration between VLIS and my colleagues from OGS from Italy. I will give a short introduction on the importance of phytoplankton. Phytoplankton produces 50% of the world's oxygen. It's at the base of the food chain, so it actually supports the entire food web and the ecosystems. So any impacts on or changes in phytoplankton communities dynamics will have a cascading effect throughout the food web. Further, phytoplankton also plays an important role in carbon cycling and nutrient cycling as well. But phytoplankton is currently under stress due to climate change as well as blue economy activities. So climate change, we have the increase in temperature and also the ocean acidification, whereas blue economy can cause, for aquaculture, for example, a higher increase in nutrients. Also, the offshore wind farms will or may cause resuspension of detritus, causing this plume behind the turbines, blocking sunlight to penetrate the seawater, making it difficult for phytoplankton to do photosynthesis. And these effects on phytoplankton may have a cascading effect through the food web, so impact economically and commercially important fish species. So it could affect fisheries. The nutrient increase may lead to harmful algal blooms, which are toxic for organisms and the environment. So it's really important and crucial to understand the impact on phytoplankton dynamics for be able to have an effective management and conservation of marine ecosystems. More about the VLab. What is our main goal? Our main goal is to identify the drivers of phytoplankton biomass dynamics, which are being affected or changed with climate change and blue economy activities. Them or investigate them. The nutrient phytoplankton zooplankton detritus model consists out of 4 state variables, and on this slide I want to show you just the drivers or the determinants of phytoplankton biomass dynamics. It's sea surface temperature, nutrient concentration, and solar irradiation. Those are bottom-up regulators. And then we have zooplankton grazing, which has a top-down control. On the next slide, it's our model that was developed in the previous blue cloud. So this is to show you what we're using as input data and input data to drive our model. It's nutrient concentration again, phytoplankton densities as well. Zooplankton densities are also in there, temperature and solar irradiation. The model is expressed in nitrogens units, and the simulation time steps are by day. This is to illustrate you that the model is already well documented in the previous blue cloud, and there is also an R markdown that actually guides you step by step throughout the entire model and gives you information what each step does and what you can change for your purpose within the model. Maybe also interesting are some kinds of results you may expect. This is for the Belgian part of the North Sea from the previous blue cloud. It's a phytoplankton biomass dynamics, so it's on the y-axis phytoplankton biomass expressed as chlorophyll A. It's on a log scale, so everything would be within the same order of magnitude. And then we also did it for 3 regions, which are defined by the distance to the coast. I will not go into detail, it's just an overview I'm going to give you. So the next thing you also could get out of the model is actually the zooplankton biomass as well. Is the dashed line on this graph. The solid line is the phytoplankton biomass. And you can see that the zooplankton is actually following the same dynamics as phytoplankton, which is actually the classic predator-prey pattern that is shown here. And also for the main goal, it was actually see how much each determinant contributed to changes in phytoplankton biomass. On the left graph, it's on temporal dynamics that you can see. It's seasonal changes that are clearly shown. And on the right, it's actually a comparison between the regions. And there we can see that there for nutrients and for solar irradiance, there was a near offshore gradient in the Belgian part of the North Sea. So for the new Blue Cloud 2026, we're also going to start at looking at carbon fluxes. And for that, we, of course, change our model to carbon units. So it's expressed in carbons. And we will start looking at the detritus component as well of the model, more specific to see how much carbon can be sequestered through the marine ecosystem and also be stored. And the interesting thing is also now with our colleagues from OGS, we're expanding or extrapolating the model to the Northern Adriatic to make the model more widely used, or so it can be more widely used, so it's more universal. So for the Belgian part of the North Sea, we at FLIS are using LifeWatch data and EMONET data for abiotic data and biotic data. So for abiotic data, we have nutrients, temperature, solar irradiance, and for biotic data, we have phytoplankton densities and also zooplankton densities. Our colleagues from OGS are using Eurobis and EMONET chemistry as data sources, which are all accessible through the Blue Cloud infrastructure. And the new part is the carbon data that we're also going to use, which are coming from ICOS and SOCAT, also available through the Blue Cloud infrastructure as it is in the data lakes of the Blue Cloud. So it's really nice that we can just access it all through the same infrastructure and then run the model. And I just want to give a short take-home message of the Blue Cloud. It provides an infrastructure that enables easy access to the marine data and also tools for analysis and interpretation. Further, it also promotes and improves scientific collaboration as we can collaborate on the same infrastructure, working in the same scripts, and so on, which in turn leads to a better understanding of phytoplankton dynamics. And overall, it will enhance high quality research to support sustainable innovation in blue economy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Steven and Joao. So we can move now to the question and answer. I don't see any questions in the chat.
Yeah, there is just one that just arrived. Yes, from Kaori.
Okay.
So she was asking a general question about the VLab. If I want to use some local datasets which are not open access, can I upload them in a closed environment and personalize the VRE? Although some local data may not always be interoperable. Who would like to pick this up?
I can answer here. So yes, first you will have to register in the platform. So once you have registered, you access to a specific VLab. So for instance, if it's dealing with the zoophytoplankton, like the one Steven just showed, so you will just log into the zoophytoplankton VLab. There you have your own workspace, and then there is the shared workspace. So your own workspace is private and the shared workspace is not private. So there you could have your own data, and then through the VLab, the zoophytoplankton VLab, you have access to these methodologies. Imagine you will see there is an R Markdown script where it runs the whole model, and you will need to change some code on how you're calling the data. You will call your own data, or maybe first you test what is there to see what is the formats, because your comment was also about how interoperable it is. So maybe you just need to replicate the formats. In this case, if we are talking about zooplankton data, this is following the Darwin core format from Eurobis and EMONET biology. So you will need to see how the data is organized and how the script is calling the different columns in the data. And you will be, the idea is that the script is quite interoperable and easy to adapt to anything. So that would be how you would do it and how people have been doing it. We have done a hackathon last year, and there was people using the different parts actually in the Phytoplankton VLab, and they were applying the methodologies with different data. So yeah, it is possible. And that's actually one of the objectives of providing this, of the VLabs. I don't know if any of you want to add something, Joao or Steven, or if the person asking the question needs more clarification.
No, so Kaori just said very clear, thank you. So that was a good response.
Okay, so we have also Jay. But it's been answered, sorry. I see now. Okay, so well, while there may be another question coming or not, since we have some time, maybe I can also ask some questions. So Joao, maybe I think it's quite clear for now on what Blue Cloud can offer to the users. So for me, you are primary users of the platform, and I would like to know why Blue Cloud will allow you to perform your research better or differently as you would do by using instead of a local machine or not having the access to this data.
Yeah, thanks, Patricia. I think it's key by providing at least two levels of support. One is the tools for rapid and better and a more expensive exploration of the data, of the information that is available outside our own environment. So the interaction with data aggregators and with, so that is key here because we are combining the data that some of the data we are bringing this, we know where this data is, but other is to be explored outside. And so it's of fundamental importance to have the tools to be able to identify what is available and how to getting access to this data. The other is the resources that allows us some art computations that we need for some of the tools that we are developing, and also the storage that is being important. And this allows me this question and these answers allows me also to add one aspect that I did not include when I presented the VLab, and that it's related here, is that the fact that we are bringing together a large number of data sets that are very heavy files and data sets, and this if I'm working with this in my machine, I will probably have a lot of time and a lot of problems to downloading the data, to identify at the beginning the data, to download the data, and then to do something with the data. So what we are trying to provide in this virtual lab is a number of tools and an environment that is easy for the user to understand what he can get and what kind of work he can develop with this. With data that is outside its own area of data. I give you an example that is coming from the thing that we are developing now at the beginning of the development and design and of the virtual lab. Is, for example, one of the exploration tools is a basic one is basic statistics. But for example, we are, as I told, we are concentrating now for the development in the test case of HF radars and a model results. And already if a user wants to work with 1 year of data from a given geographical area, well, the HF radar data that is available, each data set probably for one month, is probably 1 gigabyte. And with the model, it's all probably even more than that. And then he has, for example, hourly observations of surface currents and hourly observation of currents in the water column from our hourly results from a model of currents in the water column. And what can you do with this? Some of the users don't really know how to go on. So our tools are providing them the possibility to say, okay, I want to do the statistics for this. And probably the information that they want is to have, for example, the mean currents in the area during 1 month period or during 1 week period. They don't want to work with the hourly data. So we can bring this to them. So facilitating the work, probably they want the currents then to bring together, to correlate with other measurements. And so I think the resources that the Blue Cloud put available and the design of the virtual lab, taking into account this kind of user requirements, I think will be important, and then I think it can support users from the research community, but eventually other users that are have interest in exploring these data, but are not specifically from the scientific field that is related with a particular data set. So this is, I think, sorry for this extension, but
no, it's okay. And I agree that sometimes even providing something as simple as these basic statistics, it may sound simple, but providing it in a way where anyone can easily get this data in the way they want, because not everyone wants to use the same temporal resolution. So yeah, it's great. I'm looking forward to see this coming. And maybe just it's another question for you in the chat. I'm gonna read it loud. It says, thank you for providing a quick overview of the VLabs regarding VLab 1. Would it be possible to include HFR networks and models for the Western Mediterranean Sea in thematic service 1? Is Emma.
For the Western Mediterranean? Yeah, we are, for practical reasons, we have defined a geographical area. That's roughly the geographical area that I chose. And so this has parts that are in the Western Mediterranean for the Spanish coast and so on. So so we can include for this area. Of course, what we are doing in this virtual lab is basically a demonstrator of the full capacity that can be then developed. So if the users start to express the interest of, okay, you have a nice tool implemented, and it will be interested to expand this to other geographical areas. Of course, then we can think in the longer scale to extend the area, and then because at this point we are trying to understand how to accommodate all this, and so the limit to a given geographical area allows us to progress, but we are developing also in the perspective of let's say scalability, so we can then open the area and allow others observations and to be included.
I think, Emma, that there will be some opportunities for not the thematic service to do it themselves, but the best is that what they provide, it is done in a way that it can be easily reproduced by others. So
exactly.
I see you, Emma, more like a user of this thematic service and applying your own networks and models for your area. So ideally, like there will be a hackathon along this project where we will call people to test the virtual lab. So once this is open, we encourage you to become a member of this VLab if not yet, because I see you're from SOTHIP. So yeah, you could maybe see how to apply this. And this is actually very good use of it. This is what we want, that people use it. And it's like Stephen Pint was presenting his model and how their partners OGS are going to apply the same model to a different area. This is a way to make sure that the scripts are made reproducible enough to be able to reuse these methodologies. So yeah. So thank you, Joao. Maybe I go now to the next question. So it says regarding the data accessibility and interoperability, how challenging is to gather and integrate all the ocean data from several repositories, data sets, tools? In which way do you aim to merge and integrate all this data? Do you already have a model which is able to integrate them all? Very pertinent question, actually. It's a challenge. It's a very big challenge to really gather all this data together. This is actually, it wasn't mentioned today because the focus is the VLabs. But maybe I have now an opportunity to mention it, is what is called the workbenches, and the data lakes are part of the project as well. Blue Cloud 2026, they will be presented in other webinars, and they are actually looking into this. The data lakes will make a way where there is different streams of data coming from different data repositories, and they all can be merged. And this is ideally what we want. There is not a single model that does this. What VLab 1, if I don't mistake you, you can correct me, is what is trying to do with very specific data sets. And in general, yeah, this is the aim, to combine data in an easy way, but there is not yet a single solution, but is what we are working towards. I don't know if anyone wants to answer something else.
In your case, in our case, in VLab 1, in fact, there is a level that I showed of integration, and then we will provide a number of directions and the tools that support these directions for the integration. So trying to progress in the controllable way, so that we can say, okay, we can allow you to use this data and to have these integration tools that can be explored. Integration tools that can be there are a number of tools that we know about and we are developing during this year. So
yes,
we hope that next year we will have this already.
Yes, and if I don't mistake, there is not one single model that will do this, right? There will be different algorithms, different processing steps. Okay,
yes,
perfect.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe I see.
Yeah, there's another one in the chat. So from Miguel. So he's asking, I understand that there are two places where we can upload data, the workspace and the data space. So what are the differences and when shall we use each of them?
Maybe I can help there. So actually there is the workspace. You have your own workspace and the shared workspace. Your own workspace is private to you. You can upload data there. The shared workspace is the same. It's like a mirror of this workspace, but it is public to everyone that is VLab member. Okay. Now the data space. So there is no data space per se. What it is, for instance, you download data from the data discovery access service, and you push it to your workspace. So the only two differences is one being private and one being public, but and then the way how you push data from that you have downloaded and it's in a basket to your own workspace. I hope it's clear. Until you actually are using the workspace, it's not easy. Yeah, welcome. So maybe we have only 5 minutes left, and just to give an opportunity to Stephen to talk. Maybe Stephen, you can tell us what are for you, like what are some interesting end users for your data products?
Yeah, for end users, for my model and for the results of it and the data that's being produced, I'm thinking of marine scientists first of all. For example, the OGS colleagues that are now working also with the model. It's really great to test it and to see if it can be more widely used. Further, I'm also thinking about policymakers, for example, trying the model, doing some simulations of their own to see. To do simulations to see potential effects of management strategies could be a possibility. For industry as well, people from industry could also try to work with the model or use the data and the results of it to strengthen their case when they're asking for a permit for activity in the blue economy. For example, if you want to create a new mussel farm in front of the Belgian coast, you could try to simulate potential effects of these mussel farm on the phytoplankton and run simulations to see potential effects of this activity on phytoplankton. And I also see students, I would like to see students try out the model and start working and explore ecological modeling through the blue cloud, because then they have some infrastructure and capacities that they don't have on their own computer to explore how this modeling works. And I could only suggest them to try out and start exploring and see the fun of this ecological modeling, because they are the future scientists. So it's great that the blue cloud has such an accessibility for everyone. So yeah, I like to have this computing capacity available for everyone. That's something I really like.
That's great, Stephen. Actually, I must mention that as from the VLab, Phytoplankton VLab from the previous project, one of the users I saw registering was because when you register, you need to give a reason why are you there? And it was a professor from the States, in a school in the States, high school, and he wanted to test the model to use it for a class, a model class, and he specified for high school, which is, I never had models class in high school. So yeah, I found it very, very interesting user. So yeah, that's all. Federico, maybe you want to have some closing.
Yeah, well, there was actually a final question in the chat, but it will probably open up like a box of Pandora. So basically, it's like, can the VLabs be integrated into the emerging digital twins of the ocean? And well, that's probably a separate discussion.
Yes, indeed, I agree. We are already, Blue Cloud will be part of the Edito infra project, so it's going to be part of it. Now, how to see VLabs directly involved? We need to, as Federico said, yeah, we still need to look, but definitely I know there's the Edito Model Lab project where it's going to be using use cases similar to how VLabs are being. So definitely we need to look at these synergies and how to integrate and share the resources.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining this second episode of the Blue Cloud 2026 Training Academy. There will be another one coming up after the summer, so in September. So stay tuned, follow the Blue Cloud website, the channels, and sign up for the newsletter. We look forward to welcoming you once again, and thanks to all the speakers, and wish you all a pleasant World Ocean Day.